Did you know that Levin's rubbish is dumped in coastal sand dunes? The dump is close to the Hokio village, which can be seen in the background to the right. This landfill was expected to last for only 20 years, but it's been operating for the past 70. It's an embarrassment that Hokio District Council is using this dump today instead of promoting waste minimization and recycling. Culturally, it's a disaster, breaching Wahi Tapu. Socially, it's a disaster, with ongoing odor issues forcing people to sell properties or stay indoors. Ecologically, it's a disaster, with ongoing leachate issues. At about 5 meters above sea level, the area could be significantly damaged by flooding, caused by climate change. This will have huge economic costs for a cleanup, if flooding occurs. Economically, it's a disaster. Mayor Brendan Duffy suggested the $500,000 per annum from Kapiti Coast District Council's waste would lower rates, and provide better service. That hasn't eventuated. The solid waste account has recently run at a yearly loss of about $1 million. Hokio landfill debt is currently $4.4 million, while debt raised against solid waste is about $6 million. Ratepayers are topping that up with a 60% rise in rates charges, $150 for town, $100 for rural, and you still pay to use the transfer stations. A freshwater aquifer runs beneath and through the dump so that toxic leachate, a liquid that carries environmentally harmful substances, flows through the site, into the Hokio stream and eventually into the Tasman Sea. Hokio stream is to the left front. It takes water from the polluted Lake Hokio to the Tasman Sea. The central grass-covered area is where Levin's municipal and industrial waste, food, paints, oils, metals were all buried from the 1970s. It was closed in about 2011. A second old area is to the left of the road. Offal and sewage sludge were buried here. It's still non-compliant, being uncapped and tree-covered. This area appears to have been forgotten, so nothing has been done to it. Both areas leach toxic chemicals into the aquifers and into the Hokio stream. High nitrogen and ammonia levels have been detected that warrant urgent action to be undertaken by HDC. Nothing appears to have happened. A new lined cell, the current landfill, is in the center back of this picture. For many years local residents have been complaining about ongoing smelly odors, and the release of toxic leachate on land and into the Hokio stream, a breach of fishing rights and of Wahi Tapu. The impacts of the tip have left its mark on Hokio village, and on those whose ancestors have lived close by for centuries. Landfill is not open to the public and there is no weighbridge to record what, and how much rubbish goes in. Also, it doesn't have a weather station, which it requires. The old landfill is compromised through poor planning and mismanagement. Leachate with high nitrogen and ammonia levels, toxic to aquatic life, still flow through it into the Hokio stream. This will continue for many generations unless something happens to stop it. The current landfill has been non-compliant for most of its 20-year history. Uncovered waste is left to the elements, which gulls feed on. There's a lack of cleanup of wind-blown rubbish. Noxious odors escape into the neighborhood. Complaints are not acted upon. Measurements of high nitrogen in the aquifer, downstream from the new lined cell, indicates that it too is leaking leachate. This appears not been rectified since its discovery in 2006. The current tip has been filled earlier than expected, and needs to be capped to be compliant. While Hokio District Council has responsibility to operate a compliant tip, Horizons Regional Council is responsible for enforcing the resource consent conditions, and ensuring breaches are rectified. Both HDC and HRC have failed to act to bring about compliance. Knowingly, the strategic asset, solid waste, was deliberately left out of consultation in the HDC 2021 to 2041 long-term plan. No funding is allocated to clean up the leachate discharges. Recently the CEO reported underfunding for capping of the now filled cell, and that no funding has been authorized to build a new cell that would prolong the life of the tip. Behind closed doors, councillors have been briefed about three options: dispose solid waste at Bonnie Glen near Martin, or continue to dispose waste at Hokio until 2025 at a cost of $1.3 million for one new cell, or continue to use Hokio until 2037, that is to build two new cells, at a cost of more than $3 million. Option 1 is the most cost-effective for ratepayers, option 2 is the least. The process that HDC adopted for briefing councilors about the landfill is openly, and defiantly, not in accord with principled public engagement. There has been no opportunity for public feedback and discussion. That only a few selected people have been briefed with secret information, which they're not allowed to share with the public, is undemocratic. The significance of this is that no community groups have been allowed to put forward their views before a decision is made. Effective participation requires adequate access to all relevant information before decisions are made, not after the event, when it's too late to influence the outcome. Decisions about us should not be made without us. The HDC management will bring their choice, option 1, to close the Hokio landfill to a council meeting on 10th of November. The public briefing paper provides information on the financial impact on rates for each of the three options. However, council discussion will be held in committee, that is in secret, saying that open discussion could prejudice or disadvantage HDC's commercial activities. Hello? Is this because councilors know there is a secret backroom deal to get some organization to continue to operate? People will never know who discussed what, and how they voted. That is not an honest and straightforward process in which councilors' actions can be held accountable to residents and ratepayers. Instead, public consultation will occur after the decision is made, meaning ratepayers and residents are being asked to agree with the decision already made. Effective participation requires adequate access to all relevant information before decisions are made, not after the event, when it's too late to influence the outcome. Take a stand, call, write, tell your councilors to vote to close the landfill, now, that is, vote for option 1.